Guys, I think I'm gonna make it. I think I'm going to keep a secret for like the 4th or 5th time in my life. Guys, I think I'm gonna make it. I think I'm going to keep a secret for like the 4th or 5th time in my life. This is an incredible, exciting secret from our friends at Fender. They have sent me this guitar out of the goodness of their heart that I get to play it and feel it and look at it before it launches. So it's official. Today it is officially go time on the Fender American Professional 2. This is an incredibly important guitar, and even me, someone who mostly buys used guitars, I think this guitar is incredible, really important, and really significant. They sent this to me a couple weeks ago. First of all, it is such an amazing color. This is called Miami Blue. My favorite part about Fender's legacy and heritage is they're just funky, cool colors. To me, I would take any guitar that is shell pink, sonic blue, Daphne blue, Dakota red. I just think they're all so freaking cool. So quick rundown of features as I see them. I don't have an official spec sheet, and there are plenty of channels that will give you radiuses and the gauge of fret wire. That's not my style. I just want to give my first impressions of this guitar. I've had it for a couple weeks. I've played it so much. So this color is called Miami Blue. It is so cool. This finish is so great. It smells wonderful. Like, each time I've had this case open, I come down here and the basement just smells like wonderful lacquer finish. It's a very cool mint guard. It has gold print on the knobs, which is cool and interesting because there's not gold on it. Thank the Lord there's not gold hardware on these guitars. Not a fan, sorry. As you get into this guitar and as you play it, has a 2-point bridge, which is amazing. With the 2-post bridge, it's incredibly reliable for tuning, but it also gives you lots of movement. You can leave that bridge floating. And so what I found was when I wanted to add in these big spacey parts of playing, if I wanted to add just a little bit of modulation and wobble to my tone, I could just push on the bridge just a little bit. And I could just push gently bring things up just a couple cents and just give this kind of washy feeling of the vibrato. Very cool. The other thing is with the neck and the frets. The frets are incredibly comfortable. This has the most rounded, wonderful rolled edges on the fingerboard. This is the first time I've really noticed that it is just nailed. So the neck just feels comfortable all the way up on both sides. This guitar has the ability to both feel really important and really old, but it also feels brand new and totally rethought and just the best that it can be. And I felt that with the neck, the way that the edges are rolled, but the frets are really smooth. There's no dead spots. The whole neck, it just plays really wonderfully. The nut is wonderful. The nut is very different than other Fenders from other periods where, so like 2000s, so during most of the 2000s, I worked for a Fender dealer, and so I've set up hundreds of American Strats and Tellies, and they always had a very square kind of nut, and nothing against them, but you know, they weren't a comfortable thing if your hand would ever bump into them, if your thumb or your first finger would hit them when you're playing in first position. With this, everything about this nut is rounded and smooth. One of the things I noticed after just kind of sitting around looking at this guitar for a while is the string tree. And there have been lots of different kinds of string trees. I think that this is the most elegant, beautiful string tree. It just has this gentle curve to it. It perfectly supports and guides the strings so that they stay in tune and stay in a straight line, and also bringing them down so you get a good break angle on the nut. Everything about that, whoever designed that deserves a raise because it's just a beautiful thing. The other thing that I love, and I think Fender's done this for a long time, they have two posts that will be taller for the E and the A, and then the D, G, B, and E are a little lower because you need less wraps. I think it puts less mass on the headstock. The logo feels very classy. I think this is the first time it said Corona, California. I think before it said made in the US, and it'll have a patent number, but this is just a really tidy decal on the front of the headstock. On the back of the neck, so the back of the neck is satin finish. It's incredibly comfortable. It plays really well. The tuners are iconically like modern current Fender. They feel very good. I also noticed that they've changed the way that they do the serial numbers. So serial numbers, they always took a little bit to kind of get used to because they would change each decade. So the last one they've been at X. It was X5 would be 2015. Before that it was N, right? Or no, it was Z. Z7, so for zero, I guess. And then before that it was N, and before that was E. And so now it just says US 20. I'm assuming, I haven't confirmed this, but it would seem to make sense to me. That's an American Strat made in the US from 2020. But it just feels very tidy. It's very small. It's out of the way. The tuners are great. The back of the headstock and the contour as it comes into the neck itself is very traditional, very iconic. The neck itself is incredibly comfortable. And I'm someone who I typically like bigger necks. This neck feels a little smaller for me. It feels like a very modern, good C-shaped neck. Like it could be quick, but it still feels like an iconic, like your brain knows that this is a Strat when you're playing it. The other incredible addition, and they've done this before, but this is one of the really quintessential features if you're a lead player, is this contoured neck heel coming into the body. And so one of the biggest benefits of having this squared off neck heel is that it allows you to come all the way up and for you to get to those high frets. If you're a noodly player up high, which I'm not, but it gives you great smooth access, and you also get to hold the guitar really cool and make cool gestures. Fender has a huge challenge on their hands, and I think they've risen to the challenge. Most guitar players, in their heart of hearts, or at least in the opinions they've received from guitar players that they trust, is that the best guitars Fender ever made were in the 50s and 60s, and they've only been reissuing them ever since. And so there's this boat anchor of tradition that is kind of stuck around the neck of Fender. But then there's also this incredibly innovative and important part of Fender that has to reconcile with that tradition. So you have to have the innovation paired with the tradition. And so what has bummed me out in the past is like, okay, so there was the VG Strat in the 2000s, which had a roll-in pickup, and it was just so weird to me, and it just felt like it just missed. It was a weird guitar. And then the American Deluxes for a long time, they had the S1 switching, which I do not like because I don't like the sounds it makes. I don't like how complicated it makes the wiring. It makes it to where it's harder to swap pickups, and it's just a pain in the neck. And I feel like for a while, Fender kind of just got lost in this. They didn't know how to honor the past and still like make cool stuff for the future. I think in this guitar, they have just created a badass full throttle Strat that is absolutely the best guitar that they can make for a professional musician. It doesn't feel cheesy and it doesn't feel tied to the past. Yes, the shape and the pickups and the configuration and the tones, you can get these really vintagey vibes from them, but overall, this feels like a whole badass new thing. And I like that there aren't any gimmicks on it. It doesn't feel like there were any real compromises or like they felt like they had to like win over young, cool players. I think they, in some ways, they really got back to their roots. They said, let's offer awesome colors and offer a bunch of cool options so that people feel like they have a really unique guitar. Let's also roll the edges, make the guitar feel like it's really well built and feels really comfortable from day one. You don't have to earn this relic vibe. This can be a new guitar that feels wonderful and broken in. The more I play this guitar, the more I'm really into it. And again, I am almost always a used guitar buyer, but this guitar I think is really important and significant. The pickups sound wonderful and spanky. Listen, this covered so many great tones for me. I felt myself going back to like high school days. So there's some like this neck pickup has the neck pickup paired with my Tone Master Deluxe. There's this moment that I've discovered it like sounds so ska, that da 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 da. So the tones that I was able to get out of this guitar were really wonderful and inspiring, and I was able to just kind of get lost in playing. First of all, the bridge pickup is so fun and bitey and bouncy, and it's got this like, you can do the Johnny Cash kind of thing, you can do the Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of thing. And then the out of phase positions, man, they're like super quacky and they're very like iconically Strat, which is usually my least favorite positions typically on a Strat are 2 and 4. That's why like in some of my own Strats when I build them or when I have them built for me, I usually put a 3-way switch because I don't love those out of phase. But with these, I think they leaned into them. Like you really just get these like quacky, funky out of phase kind of feels. And then the neck pickup. My favorite pickup on a Strat is the neck pickup. It's just everything that I love in guitars is this like big, like thick, tons of bass, tons of clarity and breakup. This guitar just comes alive the more you play it. It is incredibly diverse. That's the thing, like, I think there are certain guitars for me that just, they do one thing so well, but they can't ever fake it. They can't ever get out of their own way to do anything else. This Strat, man, this is why they call it the professional. Like, a professional musician could bring this to the studio or bring this to a gig and get every tone that they would need to get. They can get thick, bitey lead parts. They could do like sweet, melodic solos. I mean, everything that you would need to do as a musician can happen in this guitar. And here's the thing, pricing. American Strats have always been so well priced if you compare them to any other guitar of that caliber from other companies. Like, right now, look at Gibson. I mean, Gibson is always twice the price of Fender, and for me, they always feel like they pack more features. They're way more consistent. It is so rare to ever get a Fender that is not wonderful, and worst case scenario, it just needs a setup, it needs a little tweak. But it is a pretty often occurrence to get a Gibson and think, oh my gosh, I have wasted my money. Because they're just, the more often than not, Gibson has always struggled with quality control. I don't know why that is, but yeah, just from my experience, and given that is anecdotal and that is my opinion, but as someone who worked for a Fender dealer and have been around a lot of Fenders, it is very, very, very rare to ever get one that is not really well built. With that said, I feel like I got a freaking ringer. Like, this guitar is so good, and I'm very sad that I have to send it back. I would love to keep this guitar. In a perfect world, this guitar with a maple neck, humana. That would be incredible. I feel like Fender completely nailed this guitar. Listen, like, the Strat is 66 years old. There are a lot of 66-year-olds I know that are not cool and have lost the ability to be relevant or important or helpful in discovering yourself and to making new work. This body style at 66 years old and in the American Professional doesn't feel overly tied to tradition. It feels like, yes, it acknowledges those things and it has come into its own and it has brought new life and new vitality to a design that is really important. There is a reason that the Stratocaster has made it this long. It's incredibly comfortable to play. It is really diverse in its tones. It is incredibly helpful to a musician, and it becomes invisible to the player. That is the most important component of a guitar, that you don't have to think about playing it. It just becomes you creating, and that's what humans are meant to do. So, great guitars, get out of the way. I'm very excited that they're bringing this out. This is what the world needs. This is such a good piece of news in 2020 as well. Like, we needed something good and iconic that reminds us of the good days before and the good days to come. This is the guitar for moving forward. Thanks so much to Fender for sending this guitar. This is really important, and y'all just, I think you hit it out of the park. It's a very great guitar. It's priced incredibly well. If you're interested in this guitar, I'm going to have a link in the bottom below. I am now a Sweetwater affiliate. So if you're thinking about getting one of these guitars, I would really be honored if you'd use one of the links down below for those. Now with that, I get a small commission, but it's a way that is painless to you to support this channel and make sure that these videos keep happening. So check out the links below. If you want to support the channel in other ways, you can go to the website, jeremytheguitarhunter.com/shop. You can check out the guitars I have for sale. You can also buy merch and t-shirts. All that stuff is over there. You can also become a patron. Patrons get early access to videos, they get Q&As with me, and they also get behind-the-scenes content that you don't see anywhere else other than Patreon. So, thanks for watching this video. I will see y'all later. Go check these out. They are incredible. And also, go check out, I'm sure there are other YouTubers that are making videos today. I'm going to play this guitar every minute I can until it goes back to Fender. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all later.